YouTube? I am your host, Mediocre, reviews and reviews. Back in here with one more video. An aggressive intro. I think this is going to be a good video. All right. Shout out to Manosphere Highlights Daily. New YouTube channel. And what this channel does is it combines this compilation of a bunch of Manosphere-oriented clips. Why woke women are killing relationships. All right. It seems like this channel has compiled a much longer discussion together, probably of the salient points. Now, this is a little bit longer of a video, so I'm gonna try to give it some airtime. I'm gonna try to give it some breathing room so we can understand the points that are being said. Now, the particular women that are in the video, there's one, her name is Suzanne Venker. She's written a multitude of books, but you could think of her as an anti-feminist, okay? The other lady, I have no idea who she is, all right? Without further ado,
want their men to behave more like women.
And then the irony is once they get that to happen and they're involved and it's enough years go by, they're miserable. They hate it. They don't want that at all. They thought they wanted that because they were told that's what they wanted.
yes. This gonna be good.
No, I didn't write that story.
I know it's not your story, but I thought you posted it. Yeah.
I know I did. I posted it and then I had a lot to say about it. But just to
it's a famous story. Anyway, tell us the story.
So there's this store in New York City called the Husband Store where women can only go to choose a husband. And at the entrance to the store is this sign that you can only visit the store once. And there are 6 floors inside, and the men's value increases as women ascend each flight of stairs. And they're permitted to choose any man they want from any floor, or they can go up another floor, but they cannot go back down except to exit the building. So a woman goes into the store to find a husband. On the first floor, the sign says, "These men have jobs." On the second floor, the sign says, "These men have jobs, love kids, and are extremely good looking." Wow, the woman thinks, this is great, but she keeps going up. She goes to the 4th floor and the sign there says, "These men have jobs, love kids, and are drop dead good looking, and they help with the housework. Mercy me, the woman says, I can't stand it. Yet she still goes up to the 5th floor. And there the sign reads, "These men have jobs, love kids, are drop dead gorgeous, help with the housework, and have a strong romantic streak." The woman is tempted to stop there, but she doesn't. Instead, she goes to the 6th floor where the sign reads, "You are visitor 3,261,496,012 to visit this floor. There are no men on this floor. This floor exists solely as proof that women are impossible to please. Thank you for shopping at the Husband Store." To avoid gender-biased charges across the street. And on the 1st floor, there are wives who love sex. On the 2nd floor, there are wives who love sex and who are kind. On the 3rd floor are wives who love sex, who are kind, and who enjoy sports. The 4th, 5th, and 6th floors have never been visited. That's the end of the story.
I love that.
We're simple.
I love it too. And the funny thing about the
just real quick,
is,
let me touch on that. We're simple. We're simple. Shit, for me, it's not sports. I'm not a sports guy like that. But for me, it'll be like, just be interested in the shit that I'm interested in. Just like to a degree. Like, don't crowd me in my space. God damn it. But just be somewhat interested. Don't try to minimize me because I like playing video games from time to time. You understand what I'm saying? But we're a lot more simple. We can be pleased a lot more readily with far less, which makes it an interesting question. Why is it so hard for women to master that? Why? I don't get it. Let's move on.
It sounds bad. You know, the language matters and that sounds bad. But of course, if you're starting from an unrealistic place, then settle isn't a bad word. In fact, you could just say, instead of having inflated expectations, just have realistic expectations, as opposed to high and low and settling and aiming high or whatever. You know, you can change the language. But yeah, there's just no, I think the best way to get a woman to understand it, I have found, at least in my coaching business, is if you reverse it. I find that's very quick. If you reverse the genders, let's say I'm talking to a wife who's really, really, upset because her husband is an A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and I reverse it and I say, well, what if he expected boom, 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 boom of you? And all of a sudden it's just crystal clear. or whatever. It's not even of your qualities, but whatever it is they expect in the relationship that you should do or be like. It doesn't work that way in reverse, because men don't have very many needs. They really genuinely don't. Be nice, be available, affection, appreciation, and that's about it.
And viscous
Yeah,
innards.
I really feel like over the last 30 or 40 years, so much of the problems that are plaguing, particularly young modern marriages, have to do with the way we think. With the way we think about the other sex, about marriage as an institution. It's not just laws and just customs or mores or whatever. It's really this mind shift. So, for example, one of the big things that I think is when I referred on that article to woke women, I'm referring to women who've been raised to believe, hook, line, and sinker in the equality concept, meaning that men and women are interchangeable, that there are no real sex differences, that what one does, the other does, and that they're like partners instead of unique individuals coming together to form this union, and that they each bring specific skills to the table, that if you capitalize on that, as they're coming in a competitive way, where it's almost like they're roommates. They're not combining their money. They're calling the money his money, her money. It's not just separate bank accounts. I mean, the whole mindset is that's his money, that's her money, that's her debt, that's his debt. The whole concept of working as a team and complementing one another with unique roles. And that doesn't have to mean traditional, hardcore, inflexible gender roles. I just mean that you bring something unique as a woman and as a man, and that when you work within that framework, that natural biological framework, you're going to have more success than when you're trying to compete with one another and acting as though you are interchangeable, which is what I see all the time in my coaching.
Oh, that is key. Now, notice what she said. She said operating in that biological framework or other. She said it probably a little bit differently, paraphrasing. But I think that is key, and that there are unique roles. There's not one that is more superior than the other, but you bring unique-ish to the table. So when she talks about our ideals about what marriage is or relationship is, I think that's key for those of y'all that are still considering it. Does she consider both of y'all to be complete equals from a value added perspective? Because according to her and according to your boy MTR, setting it up for failure. They don't understand that we are uniquely different as men than them. Set it up for failure. You got to get that mindset shift first. If that's what you're considering, let's move on though.
And yet, there are real inconsistencies here, because in terms of how women judge the success of their relationships, they judge it very much in terms of traditional female framework. I mean, men need to become more, if you ask women what they're looking for in a partner, it's all in terms of traditional female skills. They want men who can talk to them, who are emotionally available. They measure everything through their own ruler. So the man is in the good books if he regurgitates his emotions and talks about his feelings rather than doing something for her, like mending the toaster. The traditional way men have shown affection and cared for their families isn't good enough anymore. Women have to want their men to behave more like women.
And I talk about this shit all day. You know what's so crazy is that, like, it's so dope to see that the things that we talked about on previous videos, it being spoken by like experts in the field. And you see experts in the field saying the exact who've written multiple books, have their career is surrounded in the topic of dating and relationships, and they're saying the exact same ish that you've seen on a multitude of my videos before, and you've seen come out of their mouths. Like, some of the women that have sat right here said that I'm looking for, and they start to name all of emotionally available, and it's just like, well, are you looking for a woman? Are you looking for a woman? Is that what you're looking for? Because it sounds like as you explain these things, you're describing who would be your girl best friend. You cannot treat men like you're treating your girl best friend. Yes, You are in equal value to a degree. There's some of you equal value of what you can give and bring to a table from another woman. But in comparison to another dude, stop comparing yourself to dudes, or stop comparing what you want a relationship to your best girlfriend. We are different. We must be treated differently in accordance to that. They're good. I like them.
And then the irony is, once they get that to happen and they're involved and it's enough years go by, they're miserable. They hate it. They don't want that at all. They thought they wanted that because they were told that's what they wanted. And then biology kicks in, 10 years go by, and it's like, I think taking the trash out and mowing the lawn is sexy. You know, why don't you do that? You know?
I know. Well, there was a famous sociologist called Jessie Bernard. She wrote a book called The Future of Marriage 50 years ago. And the big theme, it was very much the sort of start of second wave feminism, I suppose. And her big theme was that marriage is good for men, but bad for women. And it was all about, you know, women taking Valium, women were stuck at home as housewives, etc., etc. And of course, that was absolutely embraced by the feminists of the time, the women's movement. And what is absolutely fascinating is, so marriage has been turned on its ear, conforming to what the feminists say that women should have wanted, and yet women are no happier. That's what's,
I know. No, they're worse. They're miserable, because they're being taught
miserable.
They're being taught to do things that are opposite of what they want to do, and they're having to suppress their actual genuine feminine identity, which is to be loved and cared for and take care of their babies, and all of that stuff has been ripped out of women under this guise that you are only worth what you produce. And the feeling of, if I don't get a master's degree and a PhD, and if I don't have a really great career, then I am less than, then I am not worthy, you know. And it's just, that's so against what women naturally feel, because they are so connected and so happy when they are focused on their relationships, which is why after X amount of time of being in the workforce for 10, 15, 20 years, it loses its luster. You
know what's so interesting is that, like, you know, you used to have so many people that will come over to this side of the internet and be aggressive towards dudes like me who kind of speak this sort of ish, or like when Jordan Peterson was going on his tirades of the things that he was saying, which was all things that I believe in as well. But you don't get mad at, like the books that, or the creative works that have been manufactured by woke women that keep you unhappy. I mean, I'm talking about it from a reactive perspective, but all of these other proactive folks that put a lot of marketing behind, take everything that you want to actually do because it's weak, and do the things that men do because it'll make you more happy. Because look at men, they're doing it. Look at them, they go off to the workplace and they're successful. Take all of that and now identify yourself in that. And what you're often seeing is that the happiness index of these women are not increased. Now, it's not to say that some of them don't want to do that. That's not what I'm saying. It's not what I'm saying at all. But how many more would be more happier, much more happier in life if they don't get to 36, have a fantastic career, but no man to compliment? One more.
All they want is a happy family life, a happy relationship, a baby. That's just normal. It may not be for 100% of women, but it is for the vast majority.
The way men raise children is different from the way we do, but it's no less valid.
And there's a way to bring that. But there's a way to bring that out in them without expecting it to be the way you think about it.
That's right.
I mean, like if you want to get the best out of your man, you need to understand what motivates him. You need to understand what will speak to him to make him want to do that. If you complain that he doesn't want to do the dishes, what behaviors can you do that will make him want to, right? It's not just you can do whatever you want and expect him to do the same things without, no matter what you do or say, I guess is what I'm trying to say. You just have to work within that framework to get, you know.
But there's also this arrogance of, you can't let him go to the childcare centre in that old t-shirt because what will people think of us?
Yes, right. What's so unfortunate about it is that there's so few things that women can do appease isn't the right word, and allow isn't even the right word, but if men have these things that they need, they will be those husbands that women are wanting them to be. That's what I'm trying to say. And they don't realize that they're their own worst enemy, the women, because they're not this simple thing of allowing him to have what he might have if you weren't around, or to have the space, even if there's things that need to be done. Just give him an hour without bugging him. They're just so many little things that you can do that will bring a completely different dynamic in your relationship, and you will get from him what you're ultimately wanting. And yet I mean, a lot of times women just really don't understand that. Mothers used to pass this information on to their daughter, right? Go from mother to daughter to mother to daughter. Here's how to love a man. Here's how to pick a husband. Here's how to keep your marriage, right? You don't hear stuff like this anymore, like ever. I mean, I do. That's what I teach. That's in my work, but it's very rare. And I mean, I can see this is really scary, because I can see passing on some of this sage, old time advice and wisdom. They literally never heard it before. And they'll sort of look at me like, no one has ever said anything like this.
All right, I'm gonna conclude it right there. I thought it was a fantastic point to conclude off of, that this passing down of education, information, and knowledge has been lost sight of. The first thing that I thought of is that if she's saying that from her perspective, I think it's exponentially more true within the melanated community. You know what I'm saying? If she's saying that based off of where her work generally resides, over here, more than likely it's way worse than that. But great information. Again, I'll leave a link to this down in the description box down below. I went over the entire video, but there are a whole bunch of other videos on there of compilation content. Shout out to you, Manosphere Highlights Daily. Appreciate the content. As per usual, questions, comments, concerns, y'all already know what to do. Mediocre tutorials and reviews at gmail.com. I got a Patreon as well, where this type of content and how to improve yourself is all over. All right? Until next time, YouTube.